Good Monday afternoon. Thanks for joining us on KARE 11 News Now. I'm Rena Sargentopoulos. Let's get right to your headlines. A look from the White House this afternoon, where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu became the first foreign leader to meet face-to-face with President Trump since sweeping global tariffs on nearly every country the U.S. trades with went into effect. The two leaders discussing the tariffs and also the Israeli-Hamas war, which has ramped back up in recent weeks. Israeli forces now deployed a new security corridor in Gaza, something officials say is to pressure the Hamas militant group. Israel shattered a ceasefire agreement with Gaza with a surprise attack last month. Israeli defense officials say the only reason they started attacking the Gaza Strip again is because Hamas is still operating there and have not released all the hostages that they still have. On top of the latest with the war, Netanyahu is also expected to appeal to President Trump and try to get the tariffs on his country either reduced or dropped altogether. Israel is facing a 17% tariff on goods that it exports into the United States. Meanwhile, the European Union says it is ready to start working with the U.S. to reach a deal or to drop the tariffs on goods coming into the U.S. from Europe. Right now, the EU is facing a 20% tariff on imports into the U.S.
We stand ready to negotiate with the United States. Indeed, we have offered 0 for 0 tariffs for industrial goods, as we have successfully done with many other trading partners, because Europe is always ready for a good deal. So we keep it on the table. But we are also prepared to respond through countermeasures and defend our interests.
In Minnesota, businesses are bracing for those higher import taxes, especially local toy stores. Retailers say they mostly import from countries now facing some of the highest tariffs. Raya Katene checked in with one Metro store.
RC, this is John.
If you're looking for an escape from the world,
how you doing? Pretty all right. How about yourself?
Welcome to this world of toys, trinkets, and treasures at Hub Hobby in Richfield. It's a world made possible in part by bringing in products from around the globe.
Thank you.
People come to me when there's trouble.
Store manager John Ivy
That's certainly true.
has been here a long time.
North of 40 years, I want to say.
Brings you to $41.40 for today. Have a good day.
This week, tariffs on goods from countries this locally owned hobby shop relies on will skyrocket, including 54% and 46% on Chinese and Vietnamese imports.
It scares the devil out of me.
According to the Toy Association, nearly 80% of toys coming into the U.S. are from China, followed by Mexico and Vietnam. Ivy says Hub Hobby doesn't want to raise prices and will try to absorb as much of the extra cost as possible, but some of it will have to get passed on to customers.
This used to be $100. Now it's $110.
With some tariffs already in place, the price hikes have already begun.
I don't want anything to go down, but sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something. And we have such a horrible, we have been treated so badly by other countries.
The White House says tariffs are necessary to ensure fair trade, protect American workers, and reduce the trade deficit.
We have a choice. We can pay the bills and raise prices or try and absorb them and go out of business.
And a receipt for you?
Yes, please.
In a place that's usually an escape from the world, there's no escaping what this might mean in the world of local businesses.
In the end, I'd like to think we'll be okay. Just a little concerned about how we get there.
The Trump administration is ending plans for Medicare to cover expensive, high-demand obesity treatments. The announcement came late Friday that drugs like Zepbound and Wegovy would not be covered under Medicare's Part D. That expansion of coverage was proposed last year by the Biden administration, but the rule was not expected to be finalized until Trump took office. Health and Human Services Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. has been an outspoken opponent of the injectable drugs. Medicare does pay for drugs like Wegovy for patients who have heart disease. The federal program also covers versions of the drugs that treat diabetes. More than a dozen state Medicaid programs already cover the drugs for obesity. Happening right now, the South is drenched. Horrific flooding in several states has entire neighborhoods underwater. This is video from Alabama, and it shows some vehicles trying to trek through the water in Mobile. The mayor of that town giving residents one simple message: stay home. And this deadly saga of severe weather has been pummeling the South for almost a week now. The latest chapter bringing a new round of violent tornadoes and widespread flooding that is expected to keep rising for days. NBC's Maggie Vespa is in Dawson Springs, Kentucky, which simply put is underwater.
Hey there, the police chief here in Dawson Springs telling me he's never seen flooding this bad. He's never seen the water this high. If we zoom in there, you can see that city park sign sticking out of the water. Obviously, the park completely underwater. Same story for that gas station there in the background. For reference, some cities across the Midwest and South saying they saw river levels rise this weekend as much as 5 feet in 24 hours, and they're expected in some places to keep rising for days. This, for what it's worth, of course, is just the latest chapter in this days-long severe weather saga that's kind of played out across the Midwest and South. We saw violent thunderstorms really starting in the middle of last week and continuing through the weekend. Also, dozens of tornadoes really across probably half a dozen states in those regions. The death toll from this kind of entire severe weather stretch now standing at 21 people killed, including at least 2 children. A 5-year-old in Arkansas killed, authorities say, when a tree fell on a home. And then also in Kentucky, 9-year-old Gabriel Andrews, who authorities say was swept away by flash flood waters as he was walking to his school bus Friday morning. So again, authorities pleading with people amid these just stories of tragedy playing out across the country to heed these weather warnings. Now, when it comes to flooding, get to higher ground if needed. Again, this is expected to go on for days. This is far from over. Some cities fearing river levels will keep rising and really not even begin to crest until Wednesday at the earliest. Maggie Vespa, NBC News, Dawson Springs, Kentucky.
New today, hundreds of school buses across Minnesota are getting much safer. More than 400 buses in over a dozen counties are getting grants for stop arm cameras to catch drivers who don't obey the stop signs and arm when a school bus is dropping kids off or picking them up. Minnesota's Department of Public Safety says this is the final round of the grants for the cameras, and when they're installed, more than 8,000 school buses across the entire state will have them. Happening today, a murder trial begins in St. Paul for the man accused of shooting and killing 2 men back in 2023. 52-year-old John Lee Edmondson is charged with multiple counts of second-degree murder. Local chef Larry Giles Jr., known as Hot Hands, and his cousin Troy Kennedy died in that shooting. It happened following a celebration of life outside a senior home. According to the criminal complaint, Giles was catering the event and had asked Edmondson to leave so that he could clean up. Witnesses told police that it had angered Edmondson, and that's when he started shooting. Well, tonight we are remembering a legendary local wildlife photographer. Jim Brandenburg passed away this weekend at the age of 79. Over the years, KARE 11 had the honor of talking with Brandenburg several times. So today we are paying tribute to his incredible legacy by sharing part of the story that we did with him back in 1997.
I think I was out to let people know I wasn't done yet.
It is a mystical morning in northern Minnesota, and the ghost-like fog is irresistible to a solitary visitor drawn deep into the places where shadows dance with light. Something almost spiritual compels him to look closer.
I think emotion is the #1 facet of a great photograph.
Jim Brandenburg, arguably, is among the finest nature photographers of all time. Thousands of his photographs have been printed in the most prestigious magazines all over the world. Some, Brandenburg himself included, thought that his popularity might have peaked a few years ago.
That's a big fox snake, I think.
But capturing dramatic moments on film,
I had a rattlesnake hit my lens once like this.
While surrounded by a swiftly moving prairie fire, Brandenburg is rejuvenated, chasing elusive images and challenging himself once again. He's moved forward, he says, by stepping back, revisiting the places and things he knows best.
When I was a small boy, I climbed right up to the crotch here and would take naps in the sun. This is a sacred ground to me. Even though I live in the forest, this is where my soul really begins.
Just beautiful. Well, two of the greatest players in Minnesota Lynx history are officially Naismith Basketball Hall of Famers. Maya Moore and Sylvia Fowles were announced over the weekend as part of the 9 inductees into the 2025 Hall of Fame class. Fowles was a league MVP, 4-time Defensive Player of the Year, 2-time WNBA champion. Moore wrapped up her career as a 4-time WNBA champion, league MVP, 6-time WNBA All-Star, and a 2-time Olympic gold medalist. The Hall of Fame ceremony will be held September 5th and 6th. Well, heads up if you're traveling at all this year, Real ID enforcement begins in 1 month. Come May 7th, to fly within the country or even to visit certain federal facilities, including courthouses and military bases, you will need a Real ID compliant document. That could be a passport, a Real ID, or an enhanced ID. An enhanced ID, by the way, is a step above a Real ID and allows for travel to Mexico, Canada, Bermuda, or the Caribbean.
It's real as it's going to get. May 7, 2025 is the enforcement date. This all stems right back from 9/11. And you have that identification that you are indeed who you say you are.
Well, if you still need to apply for Real ID, you need to have the right documents, one that proves your identity, like a passport or birth certificate, and then 2 documents proving you live in Minnesota, for example, a driver's license and a utility bill. Well, stick with us. More news and weather coming up after the break.